Holy shit, this thing's taking forever. Hello, everybody. Wow, that was some lag. This is Heretical Weekends number 43. Happy Sunday, happy Thanksgiving, and happy Black Friday, soon to be Cyber Monday. I hope your bellies are full with turkey, stuffing, and now you got us for the next couple hours. So, how you guys doing this fine Sunday afternoon?
Pretty
Excellent.
Good.
And how was your Thanksgivings, gentlemen's?
Good.
All right.
All right. As always, the fine, great. The fine, sexy voices you hear are, of course, Run Gavakai Run and Turtle 2020. Is it Turtle 2080?
Yeah.
All one. Okay. I don't even know. How long have you been doing this? I don't even know your fucking name. This is great.
Who are these people?
Who are these people that keep talking into my fucking head? So
You can just call me Mr. 2080. That's fine.
Mr. 20. I Black Friday. I had actually no turkey, so I had no things. I actually canceled my Thanksgiving plans to go to Best Buy. So not so much into the tradition thing, but I didn't know.
You wanted that TV, huh?
I did. This TV is amazing that I got from Best Buy, and I'm glad I didn't get the doorbuster and I got this one instead. But I am watching everything in glorious 4K 50-inch madness. And when I say everything, I mean everything.
All right.
So Gabby, when you're asking me in the chat, are my speakers on? Like, what do you mean?
That was earlier when we were having audio difficulties.
We're having audio.
So
Okay.
there's no need to discuss it now.
I'm sorry. I just noticed it. I just noticed it right now. So Gavagai posted something in our little community chat that we circle jerk with each other the in between shows, and it was quite an interesting thing from Seth Andrews, who also does the Thinking Atheist podcast. And God damn it, if that guy's not well thought out. And he does have a voice for radio, though, doesn't he?
He sure does. Yes.
Like, he should be doing overnights, like from Smooth Jazz Station in Omaha or something. That's just how I see it. All right, just don't judge me. So
we just agree with you that there's nothing to say.
So he posted a video on his Facebook page, and we were trying to decide whether to play it or not, but we weren't kind of sure how all the copyright shit goes. And he didn't post it on YouTube, so we're just going to kind of brush over and then get into it a little bit. So basically, it's can an atheist celebrate Christmas? And he, from an overall general kind of overview, what he does is he poses that question and he says, well, it's, Christ, is in the word Christmas, right? And then he kind of proceeds for the next 14 minutes to break down like all the other things that we may or may not, as far as tradition or, what we think may be a Christian thing and how it relates to, actually its origins are from pagan traditions and all that stuff. And I guess his ultimate point is that the holiday of Christmas is really a collection of traditions and, different types of celebrations and stuff from a kind of a massing of like,
pagan traditions and
basically. Yeah. So, I mean, am I doing that justice, guys?
I think so.
So the interesting thing was that you two were on the opposite end of the spectrum, right?
I don't know. I can't say that entirely.
But it sounds better.
Sure, yeah.
You guys hate each other now. Come on, guys.
Right.
Get with the program. No, go. So, where are you? What are your guys' stance on this? If it differs.
Well, Turtle, you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You can go first.
All right.
And I'll shoot you down and destroy you.
Yikes. Anything for the ratings, right?
Right.
So from my perspective, I didn't necessarily like Seth Andrews' argument, or at least the kind of the first section of it. I think he went on to say some of the things that I think are probably better arguments. But it's the idea that, well, we don't care about Thursday being Thor's Day as atheists or whatever. Well, people in our culture don't embrace Thor. They don't make decisions based on Thor. They're not trying to get Thor, creation theory about Odin in our textbooks or whatever.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
Thor is irrelevant or irrelevant.
Exactly. And Christianity is much more profound as far as its influence on our culture right now, and so I think that whole kind of premise from Seth at the beginning of his video is kind of a wash and not a very compelling argument to make. To me,
because he says like you can enjoy a Thursday even though it's Thor's Day.
Yeah.
Just like you can enjoy Christmas even though there's Christ in Christmas. But your point is that those are not equivalent statements because enjoying Thursday doesn't have anything to do with acknowledging Thor.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it has, exactly. But to me, from my perspective, I'm going to celebrate the cultural Christmas. I am not celebrating the birth of a savior. I am just participating in a cultural phenomenon, and I'm almost, to me, from in my mind, to back away from it and treat it as if it was there was something dangerous about it, gives it power that I don't want it to have. And that's to me, that's my view of it, that if I stepped back and said, well, no, I can't do this because I don't do Jesus or whatever, it gives it more power than it has in reality. And I'm not afraid of Jesus. I'm not afraid of whatever. I can say goddamn Jesus, and it doesn't matter to me because it's just a thing. So
I'm afraid of Jesus.
Well,
then don't celebrate Christmas.
I don't know what he's wearing under those robes.
Right. You're just afraid that he's going to get the ladies more than you.
Right. He has better abs than me for sure.
So anyways, that's my position on it.
So get ready to get destroyed, Gabagai.
Bring the hammer.
That's how we do things here at the Great Debate.
So no, actually, I think for the most part we're in agreement. It's, to me, my perspective isn't even really about Christmas. I just generally do not celebrate things. I don't celebrate days is I think a better way to put it. So I don't celebrate birthdays. I don't celebrate the 4th of July. I don't celebrate Christmas. I don't celebrate Easter. I don't celebrate the fact that the Earth happens to be in a specific position around the sun. I don't care about that. I personally, and when I say that, I don't care that other people do that either. So I'm not sitting here saying, hey, don't celebrate Christmas, don't celebrate birthdays. For me, every time it gets to be Christmas and everybody goes out and buys everybody a gift, it seems trivial. Like that, the act of giving somebody a gift on this specific day every time, every year, makes that act irrelevant. So it's supposed to be this nice gesture, and it is, but it's when it's done out of essentially this obligation because, okay, we're at this point of the year again. To me, that seems arbitrary. So I am for people buying each other gifts because they care about each other. I just don't think it should be on a specific day, because again, it just feels like it's a gesture made out of obligation rather than actual, oh yeah, I'm thinking about you, kind of a thing. So that's my position, and so it has basically nothing to do with Christmas being a Christian, or at least being thought of as a Christian holiday. I have the same stance as on birthdays as well. So I don't celebrate Christmas, but I also don't care if somebody wishes me a happy Christmas, or a Merry Christmas or a Happy Hanukkah. I don't care. I'm fine. That's fine. Go ahead. I acknowledge that Christmas is a day, and I hope to have a merry day on the day that is Christmas. So
Yeah, but why do you hate God?
well,
clearly that's the answer.
So I mean, I think Gavagai and I just I don't think we're that far off in terms of our view of Christmas. I think it's just a different take on.
I want blood, gentlemen. I want blood.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, I just destroyed Gavagai. You've just got wrecked. So
days are important, Turtle.
Clearly, to usurp him, you must, as the elder, you must destroy him. So
well, get
much
pwned.
like the Sith. Get pwned. Get wrecked. Yeah, I guess well, fuck, man, you guys don't really disagree all that much, but I guess I'm somewhere in between, because I don't really celebrate birthdays either, and that's mostly because I'm cheap. But I don't celebrate birthdays mostly because people annoy me in large groups, and so it's hard for me to enjoy that. But you're right, I tend not to. I forgot my birthday, I think 3 years in a row, and I don't remember till I get to work, and I have to fill out a piece of paper that has a date on it. Like, oh shit, it's my birthday. I get into that mode. Like, I don't really care. It just doesn't. It's not important to me. But as far as Christmas goes, at this point, it's pretty much just another American holiday that you take off. I don't have.
Yeah, I like having off. I'm all for it.
Right. I mean, if I can be Jewish and take Hanukkah, that'd be great. I would take Kwanzaa if I can get it, or at least Martin Luther.
Yeah, the more holidays that we get off, the better. Right. I'm not going to do anything about it, but
right. I'm all for all of that. But yeah, I mean, it's basically. I mean, we all know on some level. I think even I think with the exception of the really delusional, even American Christians know that not everything that they do on Christmas, whether it's a tree or lighting the Yule log or whatever the case may be, on some level know that may not have its roots in Christianity completely. You know what I mean? But nobody cares. No one thinks that. No one thinks that far. I don't
know if they do. I mean, I don't know if they do know that it's not Christian. I think most people think that there is some sort, the Christmas tree is in some way related to Christianity.
Well, I think there have been symbolism. Symbolism has been extracted from what existed, and it's been Christianized. I mean, I can remember our mom talking about how the evergreen is symbolic of the fact that Jesus's love is eternal, and decorating it with lights represents the light that Jesus brings to the world, or brought to the world, blah blah blah. So all of that stuff has been turned into kind of Christian symbolism,
assimilated.
Yeah, exactly. And
yeah, I mean, because I remember as a kid being slightly confused why Easter had bunnies and eggs, and those don't seem to have anything to do with Christianity, but you associate Easter with Christianity, and then these visual things are also associated with Easter, so then it kind of all gets balled up into one, even though there's no clear line. And really, bunny rabbits and eggs are fertility symbols that signify the renewal of spring is here. Again, pagan imagery and whatever, but
let's get it on.
Let's get it on, exactly.
So the answer to the question is yes. Good night, everybody.
Well, what was the question?
Have a good one. Yeah, the it's funny. I have this really kind of your textbook, like, I mean, forgive me if I'm stereotyping here, but the kind of single mom, 4 kids, Christian, Trump voting, man hating person that sits next to me, and she was the lady in our last show where I said, she just goes, God creates. That's it. I'm sorry. That's it. That's just the answer. God creates. And I'm like, okay. Like, there was just no, clearly just zero thought being put into it,
That's hardly a sentence, let alone an answer to anything.
Right. Explains nothing, but that's the kind of person. And, everyone's thought process doesn't get very far, everyone's thought process is, well, everything has to come from something, right? And nothing can't create stuff, so there's got to be something out there. That's where they stop. They just go, but, that's it.
Actually, that makes a lot of sense.
And it makes me very sad. I mean, I do a slow, scrolling around just my pan from left to right, and I just stare at everybody with this sort of like disdained look on my face, like how are we of the same species? Like, I don't even.
I did celebrate. Well, celebrate's maybe a weird word, but I did partake in Thanksgiving this year, which I normally don't. But I mean, it's mostly just because my sister's family was in town, and I live in the same area as my dad, and they were getting together. So it's just, in this case, it's just an opportunity to get to see family. So they're eating turkey, so I guess I am too. But I don't care about Thanksgiving. But
yeah, it's Thanksgiving. That's one of those holidays I just have no idea. I read an article where it said Native Americans celebrate it a different way because to them it's a massacre. I'm not sure if you guys saw that article on the YouTubes. Not YouTubes, I'm sorry, like on G+.
Yeah, I think that there's some, like, there's been some liberal, like, infusion of and kind of recombination of two events that happened in history, and there was a massacre, but it didn't involve the Pilgrims. Not to say that the Pilgrims did things right by the Indians by any means, but
right.
there wasn't a slaughter by the Pilgrims of the Indians.
Because I've never heard of that either, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, they made it seem like it's a funeral march for them, like it's their Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
And
and I mean, in a way, I can see that the Indians, the Native Americans, might view kind of this as the beginning of the end for their thriving culture on the continent. So
the plague of white people incoming. Yeah.
Right.
Well, the plague of white people is really those blankets you guys keep handing out.
Mm-hmm.
There's like people at my work, they really don't give two shits about Native Americans. They are like, so they don't think beyond their own city in many ways. It's like, well, in my little bubble, this is what I need for me to be happy. You know what I mean? Like, I need X. It doesn't matter if you destroy the environment. It doesn't. It's like it doesn't matter that the Native Americans think this is sacred land. And I just look around and I'm just like, you know what? If you guys were Native Americans or had, you guys wouldn't be going, progress. You know what I mean? Like, it's so easy to dismiss what's important to somebody else.
Yeah, I think there's been a really disheartening draining of empathy that's been going on for the last 10 years or so. I think part of, I think a lot of it is just due to the internet, but like, I feel like the conservative side is just gotten tired of listening to the complaints from the liberal side, and now it's just turned to like we're not going to pay any attention to anything you say anymore.
Somebody call the wambulance.
Exactly. So, and it's just accelerating, I think, just like as I said, the lack of empathy.
Hello?
Hey, Wolf King.
Oh, jeez. My sound went out. I was like, holy shit. Wolf King fucked the entire room up. Came in here just muting people and shit. What's up, Wolf?
Hey,
How's it going? How's your fine Sunday afternoon?
it's pretty good. I got done watching Bad Santa 2 yesterday.
Oh. There's a great segue.
The notorious bugger is back.
Did you have something to weigh in on this whole Christmas thing?
You're talking about our annual war on Christmas?
Not yet. We're kind of getting there, I think. We may actually touch upon that, but
just about whether or not atheists are allowed to celebrate Christmas. Basically, all of us are not opposed to atheists celebrating Christmas. I personally don't celebrate it. And what do you do, Heathen? Do you celebrate it or not?
That depends if I have a girlfriend or not, because like if I have a girlfriend, I'm forced to celebrate every fucking thing. Valentine's Day, St. Patty's Day, Cinco de Mayo, like whatever holiday she deems me having to go out and do shit, I have to go celebrate. But in absence of that, no, it's very rare. Like I'll get invited to go to Thanksgiving because I'm like, the odd guy out that's just kind of by himself. And people will take pity on you. They're like, you shouldn't be home you're by yourself, on Thanksgiving. And I'm like, why? Like, why not?
Yeah.
I'm having a good time. You know what I mean? I mean, the free food is great and all, but all my booze is at home.
I got the internet.
My internet's at home. My video games are at home. All my other extracurricular activities I do on the computer at home. It's just everything.
Yeah.
It's all that stuff. All the good stuff. So it's kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, I actually had that last Thanksgiving, because last Thanksgiving I didn't do anything, and my dad and my girlfriend was out of town, so I was really by myself.
So it really was a vacation.
Yeah. No, but and my dad was just weirdly concerned. Like, it's like, no, it's fine. It's just a day. It's just a day of the year. I was like this last weekend too, and it was fine.
You guys sound lucky. I went to Texas for my Thanksgiving.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
That was last year. I mean, no, it was cool. I visited with my mom, my sister, her kids, her boyfriend Tremaine. Yeah, I was in where was I? I passed Dallas. I was in Paris. I got drunk and high like all fucking week. I mean, that was the only way I could exist out there with those dumbass kids running around and it's raining every other goddamn day, watching Disney movies and Adult Swim and shit. Yeah, I was good. I got along with my sister's boyfriend. He helped me get loaded like on marijuana in Texas. So yeah, it was pretty good. And I was sipping margaritas every other day.
Should be every other hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sucks when you go on vacation to see your family because you end up just going there and just watching whatever the fuck they watch on TV for like 3 days.
Now, fuck that. I mean, like, I don't give a fuck. I took those pain in the ass kids to the store like twice. I'm watching their TV. Not doing shit. Uncle, what do you do for a living? I don't give a fuck. You don't pay no bills. I'm gonna watch your fucking TV. Shut up.
Yeah, my family's house there's a TV in every room, so everyone just fucking kind of goes in their hole and just does their own thing. And I was like, wow, this is great. I get to spend my entire vacation watching some 19-inch TV in a fucking spare bedroom somewhere.
Yeah, that's not how we do it. We we go out and do stuff. We played pickleball.
Pickleball.
We went out and played disc golf.
Oh, Oh God, that's a thing. I forgot, dude. That was explained to me like a couple of weeks ago. Someone has like, they're like, yeah, like frisbee golf or some shit. I'm like, the fuck's frisbee golf?
What?
And they're like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, what the
Where
fuck?
have you been?
I've never heard of this phenomenon. And the guy goes,
You've
yeah,
never been to college, huh?
He goes, he has a set like special fucking frisbees that they throw, and I'm like, they're special fucking frisbees. You're shitting me right now. This isn't real, dude. You're joking with me. And then he brought in his set. I'm like, wait a minute, this is a fucking white thing, isn't it? I was like, this got to be a white guy thing, because I don't know anybody in my circle that are like, let's go play frisbee golf.
Well, now you do.
Yeah.
I know. God damn it.
Yeah, and you know, I was out in your neck of the woods last spring, really. And,
yeah, I know.
And I was playing. Me. Yeah, well, yeah, right. I ditched you for pickleball.
I would have loved to watch you play pickleball.
A year before that, I would have probably ditched you for disc golf, or invited you with. But
I would have been looking around like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, what is this? And then there's like a special pole with like a net, like a chain net or something that you got to hit.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Why don't you just fucking play frisbee? Like,
because it's for the same reason that you don't roll the golf ball back and forth between you and your buddy.
I would do that.
Yeah, you could do that, but it's not as fun as hitting it with a club and trying to get it into a little tiny hole.
Why not just play golf?
600 yards away or whatever it is. Yeah, because it's different. It's a different game and it's different stuff.
I get a guy all fired up.
Yeah, well,
it's a sport, man. It's for real. Don't you judge me.
Well, you don't even like any sports though, heathen. So.
Yeah,
I watch UFC.
You guys don't mind if I take a swing at this question of could an atheist celebrate Christmas? Right?
No, we are talking about disc golf now.
All right.
Go ahead, Wolf.
Disc golf and other white guy hobbies.
I mean, I just want to say, without going back, just speaking as an atheist, as well as a Satanist, I really don't. I mean, it's not a big deal if an atheist celebrates Christmas. I mean, the thought of like giving to others and being with people during the winter solstice, that's not some new thing. That's as old as time its fucking self. All right, so people don't own like a specific concept of that. So yeah, like whatever, they can celebrate it if they want to. No big deal.
Yeah,
it's not inconsistent. It's not inconsistent with being an atheist. I mean, as long as you're not giving reverence to some deity or whatever, your atheism is consistent.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I like the idea. That's funny, Gavin. I'm on the same sentiments. I mean, Christmas is kind of like to me like a one size fits all holiday. You know what I mean? Like, there's some people. All I know is that I get it off for work, and for some people it's a religious holiday, and for some people it's not. And everyone kind of celebrates in their own little way. But most people, for me, growing up at least, and the most people that I knew in my social circles, it was like 90% American holiday with some sprinkled Christianity. You know what I mean? It's like they may have a nativity, they may play, they may have like the old Jesus movie on TV once or something, but for the most part, it's hardly ever brought up.
Yeah, the one thing I will say that the negative I think that exists for atheists celebrating Christmas is just the kind of sense of entitlement that Christians typically have about this subject, and it's to me, I think it's a matter of Christians just viewing it as a win when everybody is the way that they expect everybody to celebrate their holidays. And then when we do go along with their holidays, I think that just kind of reinforces, again, their sense of entitlement about it, which I think is a negative. As far as like, is there anything wrong with atheists celebrating Christmas? No, not really. But I think just from it can be a negative from that sense, from the perception of Christians.
I kind of disagree with your with the first part of your point in that they feel a sense of entitlement. I mean, they kind of do. I won't disagree with you on that. However, I mean, I feel the fact that they have to build up this war on Christmas thing as a legitimate attack, because we all remember what happened last year. Like Josh Fierstein did that cup thing from Starbucks, putting Jesus on there. I mean, like that was a big point. These people are dramatic as hell, in that their big gripe with Christmas is that they have to let other groups with different names and words in there. You know, I mean, like they have to share the winter solstice with everyone else, and you know, it's honestly a fact. I mean, oh yeah, we're persecuted because we have to share the public sphere. Yeah, that's all about what a marketplace of ideas is about, dude. You try to oppress that. What are you? You're just a fucking. You're no better than an SJW trying to ask for a safe space.
Yeah, at my work, okay, at my very right wing Republican workplace, they actually had this discussion with somebody. I remember a couple weeks ago I was talking to somebody about some science stuff, and it's the same person we were talking, and he had mentioned something about it's only a small percentage of X, so kind of like almost dismissive of their opinion. I wish I could remember what it was. But I try to explain to him, I'm like, no. See, that's a good thing. Like protecting the minority is all part of it. You know what I mean? Like we don't get to go, oh well, it's just a small percentage of the population, so we're just going to override them and fuck whatever rights they have. You know, it's like that's the point. It's like, and he just kind of looked at me like he had like this 3-second like stare, like he didn't know what to say after that. Kind of like, well, okay, yeah, you know, I get what you're saying. Get what I'm saying? That's the fucking. I just want to shake people sometimes.
It's good that you restrain yourself from shaking people, though.
I just want to shake. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? You know, it's like.
I actually read a comment a couple of weeks back that sort of invoked the concept you were talking about, right? It was this guy on a G-Man forum, right? And he was talking about making a video about kicking all the atheists out, like just moving all the atheists to some other area, wherever. Yeah. And he was going through awesome. He was going through his justification, right? John Calvin and a bunch of other European, early American bullshit. And basically, I was asking him, like, I mean, people were saying, you know, the First Amendment is against that. The First Amendment is against that. And he was just coming back with this rigmarole of ancient, like, pre-American text, like that's supposed to mean something. And also, I mean, he realizes that even if what he said actually came to pass, because he was using that there are more of us than there are of them, like argument about populum bullshit, that would violate minority rights. It would be a tyranny of a majority. That's why we have minority rights in the first place. People are dumb fucks.
That's what I'm saying. It makes you want to shake them. It's like just reach through the mind and be like, "The fuck's wrong with you?"
So I want to say one more thing. You know, you guys mentioned about, you know, if you have a girlfriend or whatever, that things may change with regard to how you celebrate any given holiday or whatever.
Yeah.
I would say, as I don't know if Wolf King has any kids, but I have kids, and that changes things too. You know, whether you want to or not, it's difficult to you know, to withhold things kind of on principle for your kids, you know, and they're going to go back to school and they're, you know, in a culture where it's expected that you will have gotten something, you know, for Christmas. And it's hard for kids, you know, who come from very low income families that can't give them much of anything. And, you know, it would be hard for kids from non-believer families. They would feel like just
alienated.
Yeah, exactly. That's and I think it might be tempting for some atheist parents to be like, well, I'm gonna withhold this on principle, but I couldn't do that to my kids. Now my kids were much older when I came out of my Christian faith. So it might not have been such a big deal, but we'd already been kind of entrenched in this tradition within our family as it was already, because I was a Christian as they were growing up. And so we definitely celebrated Christmas as a religious holiday then. To suddenly stop doing it would have made me kind of a bad guy anyhow. So
Yeah.
Wolf King says he doesn't have kids, so I'm the only one in here with offspring, I guess.
Well,
So,
I think that giving gifts at Christmas and at birthdays makes the most sense when you have kids anyway. I mean,
I got presents on Easter.
yeah.
Like, you guys
we got like candy and stuff.
Oh no, I got like.
You got presents.
Oh, it was like another Christmas for me. Like I got some pretty cool shit back in the day. So
we got some stuff, but it was usually pretty like limited and just one or two kind of cheap stuff usually. Like Matchbox cars or that kind of thing.
No. I'd get like the full blown like it would be like I'd get like in that instance an equivalent. I'd get the whole track setup and the cars.
Yeah.
Like I would get like a whole fucking. I was kind of spoiled, but
yeah.
Surprise.
I don't. As the baby of the family, I don't know why sort of Easter gets the shaft. I mean, in the sense that like Christmas, if your religious celebrates Jesus' birth, blah 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 or whatever, and then Easter is when he comes back to life, right?
Yeah.
And ascends into
that's
heaven
when
or
he
whatever.
dies. That's when he dies for our sins.
It's a celebration of the death and resurrection.
Yeah, I mean, shouldn't that be just as glorious? Like, shouldn't you? You know
what I mean?
I
don't know the history of this, but I would suspect that the gift giving is not.
Isn't that? It's not good.
I don't know. I was going to say I don't necessarily think that's a Christian tradition, but I don't know.
It is, right?
Some people would say it's in relation to or symbolic of the wise men bringing gifts to the baby Jesus.
Sure.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah. Which you're not bringing gifts. You're bringing gifts of toys to a bunch of spoiled kids in most households. So I don't think that necessarily is analogous to one to the other or whatever. And
right.
Yeah. So
the other thing I think too, and maybe this isn't a conscious decision, but I think part of making Christmas as big a deal as it is, as opposed to like Easter, is just the fact, especially we don't suffer as much currently because we have the technology to make winter not so horrible for ourselves, but is kind of really as we're heading into the darkest months of the year and the coldest time of the year, is kind of having this thing to look forward to, in this celebration. Whereas once you get to spring, it's kind of like, okay, well, it's yay, we're there, but it's kind of like, okay, now we're on the downside of the hill and we can kind of coast a little bit. So I think that's part of it, and especially the lights aspect of it is because it's the darkest time of the year, and that's why lights became a thing, for Christmas.
Even in the last few years, as some of the conservatives have, talked about this war on Christmas, I've heard some evangelical Christians kind of shoot back at their counterparts, their religious counterparts, and say, let Christmas go. We can still hold our portion of it as the religious whatever, but baby Jesus isn't the powerful religious symbolic thing that Easter is, and we can't allow Easter to become as commercialized as Christmas, and so they've argued, make sure to preserve the sanctity of Easter.
Their voices are not nearly as loud as the voices complaining about.
No, and that's true, and I think those are probably the people who are a bit more contemplative about their religion than some other people who are probably more knee-jerk and emotion-based or whatever. So
if you Google the war on Christmas, the first thing that comes up is a book on Amazon, The War on Christmas, How the Liberal Plot to Ban the Sacred Christian Holidays Worse Than You Thought. And you can buy said book in hardcover for only a penny.
Who's the author?
Some dude named John Gibson, which is basically some dude in his fucking bedroom. The next one from Esquire magazine says, the war on Thanksgiving is the new war on Christmas.
Oh. That's not even a Christian holiday.
It says, "Here comes Bill O'Reilly and the cavalry." So now, they're writing an article on probably something Bill O'Reilly said, which is probably stupid.
That's the genetic fallacy.
It's kind of like do you guys ever listen to Louis C.K., the comedian?
Yeah.
And did you ever hear that bit? I'm not sure if I talked about it. I probably have, but where the dudes came to America, the Pilgrims or whatever, and they ran across Native Americans, and he called them Indians.
Yeah.
Have you heard that? He's like, "We're not Indians. You're Indians.
You're not Indians? You're Indians.
Indians."
For hundreds of years. We knew
So
after
good.
like the first month.
So good. So, unless you guys got anything else to say about this, I think we could move on. No,
I think
we managed to stretch this out for 45 minutes.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, we vamped for 45 minutes.
All right.
So next up, we have a Gavagai will sometimes post when he posts topics. He'll post these long these bloggy things and articles and stuff. So I'm gonna let Gavagai sort of take this one because I didn't get to read all of it. But it looks.
Can I quick before we move on just point out that we did get the fight that you were hoping for, Heathen. It just didn't happen to be about the topic at hand. It happened to be about disc golf.
That's the true crime of the holidays is disc golf. The fact that I live in a universe where disc golf is a fucking thing. Sorry, I'm okay. Okay. Disc golf is my new Trey Jadlow. It's like, fuck it. It's fucking. Oh, hey, fuck Arcane Logos, right? Fuck that guy. Fuck him. Fuck him right in the pooter. I totally forgot about that.
Speaking of things to fuck.
In the fucking poop chute. Go fuck yourself. Okay. So back to this article the Gabba guy posted. It's by some guy named Mark Navrakanikadix.
That is, I don't know what his name is, but that's not right.
That's not right. It's titled Marks of the Kingdom, Infiltrating the Darkness with the Light of Christ's Reign. So I already knew I was fucking in trouble before I even scrolled down.
Well, but in fairness, he was actually arguing against Trump in that particular article. So
this is just the tagline of like his blog.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, he's a Christian, and he's sincere about his faith, from what I can gather. So, but
take it away.
Anyways, yeah. So, and also in fairness, Turtle is the one that actually originally posted this.
Really?
In our group. Yeah, I was wrong. I thought that I had found it, but he was the one that came across it on Facebook or somewhere.
I'm just not used to Turtle doing any work.
Yeah, I was surprised too.
So, but anyhow, the article talks about how Trump is a terrible person, and he was cringing at the fact that there were believers that were supporting him in spite of the fact that he's this horrible, corrupt, he says he describes him with an Olympian ego, claiming he can get away with murder and derogatory sexism and objectification of women, and has bragged about having sex with married women, has had 3 marriages, blah blah blah. So he does not fit their bill for someone morally qualified for leadership, and he also kind of pointed out that some people were saying, well, if Hillary Clinton gets the presidency, she'll be able to nominate one and possibly more Supreme Court nominees, which could affect Roe versus Wade. Yeah, there's the article. So all that to say, he was saying, and even so, it would be better for Trump not to get the nomination, and for evangelicals to vote for a third party withhold their vote or whatever, instead of letting this terribly corrupt person get into office. Well, we know what has happened, but I was at least impressed with the fact that he was thinking about it, wasn't necessarily taking the standard line, and was questioning what some of his Christian conservative counterparts were saying. So I took it upon myself to send him an email, and it took him a while to respond. I asked him some pretty kind of big questions, and it was my email to him was pretty short. What I said was, I talked about, he had looked at my blog, because I messaged him through his blog there, and it included a link to my blog, and I explained, just briefly what, kinds of things kind of started me questioning my faith and all. And so I said one of the things that was one of the big questions that kind of drove me down the path to start questioning my faith was, what would a biblical political agenda look like? And so I said, I asked him, do you think that the Bill of Rights in the Constitution has biblical underpinnings? Is our Constitution just? And the third question was, what would a biblical definition of justice look like? And so he did respond. Like I said, it took him a little while, but so here's what he said to my question: do you think that the Bill of Rights in the Constitution has biblical underpinnings? He said yes, and I think underpinnings is the perfect word choice. Unlike many fundamentalist Christians, I do not believe that America was established as a strictly evangelical nation. So I'm wondering there if he thinks that it was established as a Christian nation, but just not strictly evangelical Christian.
What it sounds like.
His word choice there was a little odd to me. He says, I do, however, think the founding fathers were inspired by what they read in the Bible, and Judeo-Christian values certainly shaped their worldview. Well, maybe. He doesn't go into a lot of detail there, as expanding on how he knows that. But he says, for example, I think that all men are created equal comes not only from the biblical doctrine of creation, but the doctrine that man is made in the image of God, that all people are equally designed by God, fashioned by God, bear the image of God, and means of life without exception have dignity, and no one deserves to be treated lesser than anyone else.
He picked a hell of a candidate then.
Well, he didn't. What are you talking about? He
doesn't like Trump.
Yeah, he was against Trump.
I'm sorry. I keep forgetting because I'm so used to these goobers voting for Trump.
Well, see, and that's one of the things that I think is important for us as non-believers to always try to bear in mind, is that Christians, just like atheists, are not a single block, and that we need to be careful about generalizing too much, because
I
know, but it saves so much time.
It saves time for them too.
Well, yeah. So, but and we when a lot of times we approach people by saying, you believe X, Y, and Z, and I think that can be dangerous in assumptions that we do, and they will pick that up and say, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't believe X, Y, and Z. I believe A, B, and C, and so obviously you don't know what Christianity is all about, because those beliefs are not mine. So, and I know the true Christianity. So, so that gets us in trouble.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, right. So, but here, to this point, and I intend to write him back and talk about some of these things, but I thought it would be good to bring this up in the group and get your input too.
Did you ask him about his thoughts on Trump? I mean, I assume you wrote to him after the election, right?
No, this was actually before the election.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, it'd be interesting to see what his thoughts are now.
yeah. Well, and
Now he's all for Trump.
Yeah, I kind of doubt it, but we'll, maybe I'll be able to ask him a little bit about that too. But his idea that all men are created equal and things, that line is not from the Bible, and maybe some of what Paul says. I mean, Paul says in the kingdom of God, there's no. I think it's Paul says there's no slave, there's no male or female, blah blah blah. Okay, you could maybe make an argument there, but looking back to Old Testament law, it's really hard to make any kind of argument that people are equal under the law there. And you look at a passage like where, which prophet was it, who commanded the she-bears to come out and attack the children because he was insulted for being bald or whatever. Go up, baldy, the kids said, and so 40 kids are massacred by a bear. Well,
2 bears.
Yeah, 2 she-bears. That's right. So Elijah, thank you. Yeah, and I could never remember if it's Elijah or Elisha, and at that moment I couldn't remember either of their names. But so Elijah, and if those kids had insulted a different person, that person wouldn't have had Jesus' power to command bears to kill them.
Jesus' power,
presumably. I mean, maybe, I don't know, but
I'd love to see that today. And
right.
like how would that work in like an urban environment? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, yeah, I guess maybe attack dogs or
giant rats.
Yeah.
No, it's always a bear. It's always she-bears.
It's always a bear.
2 she-bears.
Just come out of like the phone booth or whatever. Like those things exist anymore.
Yeah, what's a phone booth?
Yeah.
Look it up on the internet.
But and that idea that all life is precious as well is kind of really blown out of the water with any casual reading even of the Old Testament. So
don't let Trey Jadler say that.
Yeah, human dignity is the foundation to understanding the right of human freedom. Human freedom is not something that's really talked about in the Bible. He says, since one man is not above another, no king or tyrant has the right to unfairly inflict grievances upon other men. This is not from the Bible. So, I understand there's this weird, I don't even know how it gets embedded into, I guess it's just kind of taught and people don't question it and don't say, well, where can we find these ideas in the Bible? I like them. They are appealing to me. And I want them to be in the Bible, when as a Christian, but they're not there. Those ideas of freedom and that people are equal. I mean, before there was a king in Israel, there were judges and a priest and and a high priest, and all of that was hierarchical. It was a theocracy, and whatever the priest or the prophet said was the word of their God and couldn't be questioned. There was no debate, there was no democracy, and it was tyrannical. So this whole idea is not from the Bible, and the New Testament doesn't deal with it. And he acknowledges that in kind of the first part of his message that I didn't read, but he says that the Bible doesn't address political issues directly because that's not the primary focus. It's about the kingdom of God and fallen man, blah blah blah. Well,
and she-bears.
Right.
It dealt with the important issues.
Yeah.
It only dealt with important issues. The everyday kind of issues.
Yeah. Well, and then breeding techniques. What's from Genesis where the guy is it I forget who it is, but it's Lot, I think. Abraham's nephew Lot brings his cattle and goats to a river and puts sticks in front of them while they're mating down by the river, and that's supposed to produce offspring with striped fur.
Oh yeah.
That's a real good insight.
Useful.
But anyways, yeah, who needs any outlining of human rights or political structures?
Yeah, best governmental system, best economic system.
Anyways, but he says those are the foundations that are important to the Bill of Rights and the entire establishment of republic. And I've skipped over a little bit here, but I'm amazed at some of the things, and he says, "Is the Constitution just? I believe so." And we'll never have a perfect government in a fallen or sinful world. Abuses and things will occur.
One thing that I never thought to bring up to any of these people who are talking about the Constitution being inspired or whatever by the Bible. So I think one of the most important things about our Constitution that our founders included in it is for the ability for the Constitution to be changed via amendments. Where do you get that from the Bible? Because as far as I know, the Bible is supposed to be locked in place. I don't see any kind of ability to go and change the Bible from within the Bible.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, there's a whole lot that goes in contrast. I think his response to that might be something along the lines of, we're in a fallen world, we're sinful, right, and we're fallible, and so as we figure out that things are need to be tweaked or changed, we can modify it, as opposed to the infallible word of God that can't be changed. So. Right. But what I like to point out is the fact that, so let's take, for example, the idea of freedom of speech, and look at the 10 Commandments, which I hear a lot of times from people that, like the Bill of Rights comes from the 10 Commandments. Well,
no, it doesn't.
That doesn't fly at all. If you look at the 10 Commandments, it goes almost contrary to what the 10 Commandments say. You can't take your God's name in vain. Well, the First Amendment says yes, you can. The 10 Commandments says you can't worship any other gods. The 10 Commandments says yes, you can.
No, the Bill of Rights.
I'm sorry, the Bill of Rights, and again in the First Amendment. So the very first one goes in contrast to the first few amendments. The right to worship, the right to speak and express your views as you see fit. The 10 Commandments says you have to respect your parents. The Bill of Rights does not include that, and there's no penalty by law about that. It's not illegal to commit adultery. You can end up with a divorce because of it, but you don't get penalized by law. And there are people who have open marriages and plural marriages and things like that.
They're free to do.
Yeah. We've got that freedom. So, all of those things, it very quickly starts to fall apart when you start actually poking at it. But part of the problem is that you get believers sitting in the churches where someone is saying these things to them, and
on Facebook or
but you get these kind of circles that are echo chambers, and nobody's saying, well, wait a minute. how do you get from point A to point B? And so there's not those challenges there. People don't poke at these things and say, and no, and I'm making generalizations just after I said, that doesn't occur or whatever. So I will say in some cases that is true. There are churches where people do, question and challenge things. But I think,
but the people who are repeating these things
right,
are not
exactly.
questioning.
Yeah.
So these things get, as you said, they get into this echo chamber, and then they just get pushed along.
Yeah.
And even the people who, I mean, if there's a Christian who hears that and they do question it, I mean, for the most part, they're not, shutting down other people saying, hey, no, that's not right. They might be like internally saying, I don't know about that one. But
right.
for the most part, they're not like speaking up and shutting these memes down.
Right. Well, and yeah, and I was just going to say, these are memes, and just like the memes that we see out there that float around and say all kinds of things that are not true, and and the left and the secular group is also guilty of it. I like to believe not to the same extent, and I think there's evidence to suggest that there's less kind of passing on unquestioningly of things. But when we see something that we believe to be true already, it can be very easy to just click and repost or what have you, some of these ideas that and I've been guilty of it on occasion of not fact checking something and reposting it. I don't think I've done it too often, but I know there's at least been one or two cases where I found out, the thing that I reposted doesn't pan out actually, or there's not evidence for it. So
yeah, as far as like liberal memes, I can think off the top of my head. One is this image of Donald Trump, and the quote is, "If I were to run, I'd run as a Republican. They're the dumbest group of voters in the country. They love anything on Fox News. I could lie and they'd still eat it up. I bet my numbers would be terrific." And that's supposedly from People Magazine, 1998. And I'd seen that on Facebook multiple times, but it is not true. He did not say that, or at least People Magazine has no record of him saying that.
Yeah.
And that got passed around on Facebook. I saw it multiple times. And I had to go and check it out for myself. And it's not that hard to do, people.
No.
You can find out pretty easily with most of these memes whether or not they're legit or not.
But it has quotations around it and everything.
Actually, the image I clicked on didn't even have quotations. Just a picture. Just a picture. It's funny because it might actually be a quote, but not from Donald Trump. But because it doesn't actually have his name or anything there, it just has the words and a picture of him, and then People Magazine 1998. But
which is funny because it's not considered as, maybe there's some wackadoodle law where it's like it's not was it libel or whatever, unless you put like the name of the guy, like the hyphen or and then like the guy's name.
Yeah, Trump or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, it's at the very least highly misleading. But
yeah. Speaking of scary Americans, so I had this conversation at work where, and I think I told you guys where I said I'm not so much afraid for Trump as I'm afraid for the Vice President, Mike Pence, and because that guy's a fucking nut job. And I ran across a couple of articles. One says Mike Pence will be the most powerful Christian supremacist in U.S. history, which it's a little on the nose, but it's funny. Speaking of sources and stuff, I'm not sure. The Intercept is probably like a liberal, kind of cited piece of news kind of thing there on the internet or something.
Yeah.
Say that again.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying right now. But if you look at it, right, I thought that was funny. So if you look at the title, right, Jeremy Scahill, or if you remove the CA, is the Jeremy Schill. Dun, dun, dun. The plot thickens. But so this guy's a fucking nutcase, and he really does scare me far more than Trump does, because he seems. I mean, I'm not sure if you guys have really got into or really looked into, the kind of stuff he's in, but I mean, he's obviously he's against abortion, right? He wants to defund Planned Parenthood.
I think he's a creationist, a hardcore creationist.
Yeah,
Yes.
He's a young Earth hardcore creationist. In
Anti-climate change.
Yeah, helped pass one of the nation's harshest religious freedom laws that would have protected businesses who wanted to refuse service to LGBT people if they cited religious objections. He resisted changes to hate crime laws that would have included acts against lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people. He has said publicly,
he's a very religious right guy, basically.
Yeah. I long for the day that Roe v. Wade is sent to the ash heap of history. Just immigration. It says in 2006, Pence proposed an immigration compromise that envisioned a guest worker program that required undocumented immigrants to self-deport before returning to America legally. He's down with the big, beautiful wall. Education, it says under Governor Pence, Indiana has diverted $53 million in the past 2 years from public school to funding vouchers for private schools, including religious schools and to charter school programs. I know, environment. He is skeptical of climate change and wrote a letter to President Obama threatening to disobey the new regulations on coal mandated by the Clean Power Plan. Trade, in 2014, Pence tweeted, "Trade means jobs, but trade also means security. The time has come for all of us to urge the swift adoption of the Trans-Pacific Partnership." Presumably he has or will walk that one back, which they're looking to get rid of that, if I recall us talking about. Any restrictions on assault rifles.
You blipped out there on my end. I don't know if anybody else.
It says that he has an A rating from the NRA and is opposed to any restrictions on assault rifles. Because you need an AK-47 to kill a deer and ducks.
I don't understand the no restrictions.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
Well, I'll tell you, at my work, I'll tell you right now, at my work, and I think I talked about it a couple weeks ago.
We're losing you again.
Yep.
Or whatever it is for ammunition.
Yeah, we lost you again.
God damn it.
The last thing we heard was, "I'll tell you."
I didn't tell you.
Didn't.
No. So at my work, they were really bummed out about the law that passed here, at least in California, where there's an extra sort of step in the registration process for ammunition, and their logic is that old logic where, well, you make it tougher for all the law-abiding citizens to get ammo. Only the criminals will have the big magazines, But then after that passed, they came back to work. Somebody asked them about it, and they go, and I'm sitting right 3 feet away from these guys, and they go, "Yeah, it's just another bullshit law that we didn't want to have to do. It's just a pain in the ass to have to fill out another form." And I'm like, first of all, you fuckers can't have it both ways. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they get upset when, like the people in San Bernardino here in California that I guess were at a company picnic or doing something, and then they left, went back home, got their assault rifles, and started shooting people. And they were Americans. I mean, not ethnically, right? But I mean, they were like American citizens. So everything to them is, it's a pain in the butt. All of them are gun enthusiasts. They know how to build them. They had a guy. One of the guys there had his armor plating for his vest delivered there, like his steel armored plates that go in his military vest. This is the same guy that said, "I would love to live in Nazi Germany." So
here's the thing though that I find really disappointing is that our leaders are supposed to be better than the worst of us. Like, so yeah, I get that there are some people who want the guns, but our leaders should be able to say, "Hey, you know what? We need to be responsible about this. I know some of my constituents want, X, Y, and Z, but that's not what's in the best interest of the nation as a whole, or my state, or whatever the case. But instead of doing that, they just completely pander to the worst of us. So I find that disappointing. And it's getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, the gun thing is huge. I mean, like I said, I don't know if it's just California, where I'm at in California, or, you know, I'm not sure if it's just their political leanings, but a lot of what it's a very us versus them mentality, right? You know, that same guy that said, I would love to live in Nazi Germany, like, me and that guy would talk every now and then, you know, but ever since the election, he hasn't spoken a word to me unless I've spoken to him first, because I'm not one of the boys, you know, in that sense. And it's kind of a weird thing because, you know, we kind of quasi got along, you know, but and that's something we don't.
You're not an alt-right member, right. You're a cuck.
Right. Like this was a guy. Have you guys seen the TV show on Amazon called The Man in the High Castle?
Nope.
No.
Okay, well, it's basically an alternative universe where the Third Reich in Japan won the war, and Germany runs the eastern side, like 2/3 of the country, and the Japanese have the other third of the country on the left side, and
the West Coast.
I was telling him about it, and he goes, "Oh man, that sounds awesome! I would love to live there." I'm just kind of like, well, I'm like, it would be great for you, you know what I mean? Like, it'd be great for you, but he, you know, they get like really, it's very us versus them. It's like when you break it down, how they argue things or how they see things. Like I listen to them. I don't say anything about it. I listen to them. It's very much like, oh, those people are angry because, you know, like those Indians are just protesting because they don't have jobs, or those people that are protesting Trump are just criminals. You know, they're not like us, like you know, they're not in our circle. You know, it's very like
tribal.
Yeah, it's very tribal. It's like, you know, and, you know, I mean, again, I'm not trying to generalize, but judging by his comments about the Nazis and stuff, I'm pretty sure on at least for this person, it's like they don't look like me.
I'm really so disturbed about this kind of uprising of racism and nationalism that that has kind of welled up following the Trump election and just before it as well. When did this become okay?
I mean, the funny thing is, you sound like Sam Harris confused.
Well, I just, you know, but, you know, 5 years ago, that kind of thing was the outskirts of, you know, I'm not one that denied that it was there by any means, but it certainly wasn't okay, you know, or socially acceptable. And I'm hoping that it's not, you know, in the large, broad public, still that it's still taboo, and people are aghast at the idea that people are that blatantly racist.
Well, I mean, the political zeitgeist have shifted, right, because of a decade of political correctness with the leanings of the result of a black president. People were on edge of being called racist just about anything, you know, whether it was criticizing Muslims and radical Islamic terrorism, to wearing a costume that you know, perceived as racist, or something, to having a freaking Hawaii doll in your Uber. You know, people got tired of this. So seeing this, seeing people that really actually galvanize like the platform, people like Bernie Sanders, for example, after his decline with the result of the electoral colleges and being screwed out of it by the DNC, and giving a establishment candidate like Hillary the nomination, I mean, that just turned a lot of people off. They want Bernie, they didn't want Hillary, so they went with the next best thing, a guy who was crazy enough to speak his mind and was sort of against the establishment, and that he didn't really have any strings to it. He was sort of empty from it. So yeah, they went with Trump. He's the result of that. But I honestly think he's going to be more of a Bush type president than anything else. He's going to rely more of his vice president and his cabinet for his policies.
Well, yeah, I mean, we already know that he was planning on dumping off his responsibilities onto his vice president because he basically said that to who is the Ohio governor, Kasich, because he offered Kasich the vice presidency and said, "Hey, you'll be able to do whatever you want," and Kasich was like, "No, thanks." So yeah, we should expect that from Donald Trump, that. And it shouldn't be any surprise that he was in this for the popularity contest, and he won the popularity contest, and now that there's actually work to be done, that he's going to shrink back.
Well, I think there's a lot of work to be done, because with the rise of Trump came the rise of the alt-right, which are basically just neo-Nazis online and shit like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Trump.
I mean, it's funny, yeah, and especially with that Nazi salute with Richard Spencer and Tila Tequila and all those people.
Tila Tequila.
Yeah, she's really showing how smart she is after being a flat Earth endorser, and now this.
Yeah.
She should just stick to porn.
She's not even white, is she?
She's Vietnamese. She's Vietnamese. So
Close enough.
I'm just shaking my head. I don't get it.
You stumped Gavagai. It's been a year, and we haven't stumped him.
I think she's like a Nazi sympathizer or something like that.
Those are hard people to sympathize with, I'll be honest.
I mean, she doesn't like Jews. I don't get it.
Really?
Yeah, for some reason.
Did anybody ever? You know, it's funny because like you probably met more Jews than you realize. You know what I mean? Like not necessarily like practicing or whatever, but just have Jewish heritage.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Guys, you want to know a fun fact?
Sure.
Okay, you know, like Hitler's like major military unit, the Waffen SS, right?
Yeah.
It was actually a very diverse workplace. I'm not even joking about that. Lithuanians, like freaking, like, let's see, there were some Indians in there. There were some Africans, Bosnian Muslims. You know, it was a very diverse place. You know, more than just your average like German stuff. Your Africa Corps, what have you. I mean, like they
equal opportunity.
Yeah. Like they're even Hitler and his cohorts, they admired like the other cultures and stuff like that. They admired Japan for its samurai way and devotion to the fatherland and stuff like that, and like Arabs with like Islam and stuff like that, the warrior fight for the war and stuff like that. They even made the Japanese honorary Aryans. So yeah, and you know Hitler met with the Grand Mufti and stuff like that.
Those guys weren't so bad.
They were even like the Bosnian Muslims and Africans and stuff like that. Some of them participated in the Africa Corps, but didn't really commit like a lot of atrocities and stuff like that, as apart from Nazi Germany. But yeah, and they even got some Jews out of there. But yeah, they were in the Waffen SS. They were in the German army during World War II.
Shit, that's interesting. I got to read up on that.
Yeah. So here's the greatest myth that Nazi Germany ever had. Claiming to be Nietzsche's wet dream not only gave them an excuse to plunder Europe, but this whole idea, this myth about a pure race, is complete bullshit. I mean, like you like diversity is still a thing no matter what the fuck you are. So Tila Tequila, yeah, I mean, for some reason it's the case, but I'm not surprised that it exists.
I posted a thing earlier this week, and I think it was one of those sponsored things by like Ancestry.com or whatever, but it was a video of people getting the results of their like DNA testing for ethnic heritage or whatever.
I didn't get to see that. I have that. Yeah, I have to look that up still.
Yeah, it's really good. You know, even and this is one of those things that posted, even though I don't know 100% if it's real, just because it comes from Ancestry.com. But I think that it is. In any case, even if this like kind of narrative that they're putting out there wasn't 100% genuine, the reality is that we are all of mixed ethnicities, and people who think that they are one thing. None of us is really one thing. We're all a mixed bag, and I think, if we had all of these white supremacist people take genetic tests to see what their ethnic heritages are, I think it would probably greatly diminish the numbers of their ranks. If they at least if they made it mandatory that you had to qualify as pure, and I'm using air quotes.
Did you see that picture? I didn't mean to interrupt you, but there's someone posted a picture on Google Plus where it shows a couple of Nazis measuring a dude's nose, like
yeah.
Was that you that posted that?
I didn't post that one, but yeah,
that was like the Jewish test, right?
Right.
Clearly, they should have been looking for horns, but I mean, those is. Come on, man, that's funny.
That's kind of funny.
I get it.
Wait,
Oh.
I think the delay before the laugh was perfect.
I had to click on it. All right, leave me alone.
Tragedy plus timing, right?
Yeah.
Don't you judge me. I'm no producer, but yeah, it's the nose thing. It looked like it looked like a pretty basic measuring tool. It's like, I wonder how that worked. Like, where was the cutoff? If it's more than 1.5 inches wide or long, you're obviously Jewish.
I wonder if the alt-right knew how little that Donald Trump actually cared about any of the things that they think he cares about, like if that would disappoint them, or if they would not care still.
No, it doesn't. I remember how I told you guys, again, referring to my office, all the ridiculous reasons people voted for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
What was that?
I remember that.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I don't know if people necessarily thought this through. You know what I mean? It's like, I know that people had a lot of problems with Hillary or whatever for whatever reason.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the people like who are saying like Heil Trump, like those people who think like, oh, this is a great victory for my people and my race.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Who thought that like Donald Trump is sitting there like, because Donald Trump doesn't give a shit. Like he doesn't care about any of that shit.
Right.
Like one way or the other. But
well, but I wonder though, because I mean, what his chief of staff or chief strategist guy, Bannon, was, the head of that Breitbart.
Yeah, but
news
Breitbart is mostly known as just Republican, conservative bullshit spewing.
Well, but he even has said that it's the mouthpiece for the alt-right. Now, they're in trying probably to inject some of their ideology into the mainstream. I don't think have borne out the banner of white supremacy to the degree that probably some of the non-mainstream white supremacy outlets on the internet have or would be comfortable doing. They've camped it down some, but it's still there, and he's still identified it as alt-right, and he is.
But Donald Trump doesn't even know what that means. Like seriously, like Donald Trump is completely clueless. Like he doesn't pay attention to any of this stuff. He's like, oh yeah, that guy, he's a Republican. Okay, well he's good at promoting Republican bullshit. Okay, yeah, he can do whatever.
Don't you think he's just surrounding himself with people to do the work for him, and he's going to be some fucking orange figurehead?
Who doesn't even necessarily want to live in the White House. Can you imagine for a second if Obama, before he was elected president, had said, sometimes I'll live in the White House, but sometimes I'm going to just live in my penthouse.
In Chicago.
Can you imagine the outrage by the same people who voted for Donald Trump.
I can
I
imagine.
demand,
I
I
mean,
demand to see Trump's birth certificate.
I mean, it was mainly immigration, the whole Muslim thing, right? Like you couldn't criticize Islamic terrorism until Trump got in there and started talking about it, or like immigration. We're gonna build a wall and shit. These were the little things that appealed to like people in the alt right, you know, especially the most fucking nuttiest of racist nitwits.
But
He was just at best he's not racist, he's just xenophobic, but these policies appeal to him. But he's gonna be another Bush. It's just like what I said. People really oversell this guy. He didn't think he was gonna get this far. Apparently, up until the point that he did, he just went with it, and it was really just conditional. He's not gonna appeal like to every single thing he did. He said he did when he was campaigning.
No,
Is there
he'll be surprising if he does half or any of it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
already
not going to
kind
go
of
after Hillary
backpedaling.
Clinton, and that's the other thing. Like all these people who are shouting like, "Lock her up!" Like, what do they think now that like it's clear he's not going to go after Hillary? Like, are they disappointed? Do they even care?
did you guys see the video of this?
She's butthurt. Hold on. She's butthurt as much as she is. Talking about she was crying and shit. I'm not gonna be president. There might be a lady president. It's not gonna be you, bitch. You are shady. You are shady. You take money from Islamic governments that torture people in Yemen and shit. Okay, you don't. No one trusts you. You flip flop. Worse than Romney.
Did you guys see that video of there's a bunch of Trump rallies, and one of them was like this small town sort of thing where it wasn't a float. It was like on the back of a stake bed truck, but they built like a mock cage and they had someone dressed as Hillary Clinton with a Hillary Clinton mask on, like she's in prison.
Goodness. There was a principal that and a vice principal at some elementary school. I think it was in Michigan, and they dressed up for Halloween as Donald Trump and Hillary in a prison outfit, like orange jumpsuit.
Yeah, and when he what did he say he wasn't going after Hillary? That was like a couple weeks ago, right?
Like this last week, I think.
Yeah, and then didn't he say that she needs time to heal or something along those lines?
I heard that he said that he didn't want to hurt the Clintons, that they had been through a lot or whatever.
The thing with Trump too, which is hilarious, is that like this is what bothers me. So when I heard him speak, right, he never actually gets into specifics. It's very rare. It's just like, I'm gonna find a solution for X, and it's gonna be a beautiful thing. It's going to be magnificent. Well, what is it? Like, what are you talking about?
I mean, he's a motivational speaker, right? And he gets that for being on TV. I mean, that's pretty much all he has. I mean, beyond that, he's just a millionaire. That's it.
And not even a good one.
He went bankrupt like 4 times. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not even like a good one.
There's well, to be fair, it was his businesses that went bankrupt. But
dude, he lost money during this election.
Yeah.
I remember I read an article about that.
Remember I said one of the reasons somebody said they wanted to vote for Trump was because they feel like they go, well, Trump's a businessman and the company should be run like a business. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, he's not that fucking good of a businessman though. Like, it's like there's probably 1,000 businessmen that are better than him.
Well, I wish that they would still press him to release his tax returns. He promised to do it after his audit was over. Well, obviously that didn't happen before the election, but surely the audit will be over sometime. And I would still like for him to release his tax returns so that people can see exactly what it is that he is or is not good at, what it is he is or is not invested in. He's already been criticized for ethics problems because he's not putting his businesses into blind trusts, and he could be very well maneuvering laws and policies around so that it benefits his own personal businesses.
Believe me, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Believe me.
That's reassuring. I hadn't thought about that.
Did anyone hear about their reaction, Pence and Trump's reaction to a play of actors criticizing their administration or their
Oh
policies?
yeah, the cast of Hamilton, right?
Yeah.
I don't know the details of it, but I've seen that.
They didn't
Come up with my-
criticize. They basically just said, we ask that you protect all people, all the citizens of the United States.
Yeah.
Give us a chance, and we will give you a chance, kind of a thing.
As a diverse group of people, yeah.
And he had a problem with that.
Yeah.
Well,
apparently,
Trump did.
Like Pence thought he was disrespected, and Trump said he was disrespected, and all this. It was kind of funny.
Fucking retarded.
Yeah, there was one meme about it that said that moment you thought you had elected a tough guy, and he gets his feelings hurt by the theater kids or whatever.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then there's that. Then he is still mad at SNL, right? They did another skit, didn't they?
Yeah.
I'm
He
sure
doesn't
they'll
like Alan
stop.
Baldwin.
I'm sure they won't do any more.
Right. Well, I pissed off Gavagai a couple of shows ago when we read those libel laws that he was talking about enacting.
Yeah, well, and it turns out there aren't even any federal libel laws. That libel laws are done on the state level. So him saying that he was going to loosen up the libel laws from the White House is silly, a silly idea, and just evidence that he doesn't know how those things even work.
Yeah, he doesn't know shit. But it got Gavagai like Turtle. You should have been there. He was all like he was just like grunting and like.
Was this after I left the other time?
Yeah. He was at a loss of words. It was great. It was. I gotta go. he was just so genuinely mad, like and just frustrated.
Well, how anybody could think that is a good idea, that he is going to sue people for saying things that he doesn't like. He was talking about suing newspapers for printing things that were, what he said was untrue and hurtful or whatever. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's bad. That's a bad thing when your leader thinks that.
Yeah, that kind of gets into that kind of becomes a bit, I don't know, fascisty.
Right.
It's literally the government from V for Vendetta.
Well, here's the thing. Though, is that it is fascist-y, but I don't even believe that Donald Trump understands that it's fascist-y. I don't think he's smart enough to be aware of why exactly what he's saying is a problem. Like, he just doesn't like hearing bad things about himself. And I think that's it.
Hey, Joseph Stalin only had a few years of schooling. So did Hitler. These guys didn't learn much, but they were still they're still pretty nightmarish. I'm not saying he's going to be exactly like them, but yeah. I mean, when you have that personality, those traits set in mind, the results pretty much stay the same. They're gonna fuck some shit up. I mean, this guy said some questionable shit about nukes. Why can't we use nukes?
Yeah. He said questionable shit about everything, but that is particularly disturbing to hear.
Why can't we use nukes? What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
It's not like they're weapons of war, except there are. It's not like they can take a bunch of lives in an instant, except they can.
All right, and not only that, but the
environmental,
and I mean, fucking people still don't go back to Chernobyl.
Or the fact that we only used them once, and that was during a world war.
Right. It was like extreme circumstances. And by the way, that guy at work with the army plates and the machine guns and everything, that guy has also said that several times, that he can't wait for some sort of apocalyptic situation to happen because, like,
vote Trump.
He did. He did. He actually is in his office, because his door is right in the bullpen where all our desks are, and we'll be talking, and he'll just be like, hey dude, vote Trump, like he'll just yell it out from his office, like vote Trump. Like he's said to me that he would be perfectly okay. Like he's like, it sounds weird to say, but I would be okay if like every other person on the planet was dead, and it's just me and like my family and like our little compound, like just alone. I'm like, what are you, fucking Noah? Like,
well, here's the thing is,
no. You want to hear something worse? In Tom Rabbit's Hangouts, there's this dude named Dionysus, right? He's this really alt-right dude, really white nationalist, fucking Nazi dude. He has this bug out bag that he's preparing if there's ever a race war / zombie apocalypse, whatever the fuck.
right.
He's gonna get this bag and just bug out of there. He can't really open it that well, although he has his dad's tools and shit. It's got food, some other stuff, some tools and shit. I mean, people are genuinely fucking crazy.
Right.
They literally buy this shit.
It's one thing to prep for something that may happen because you're afraid, and then it's one thing to want it to happen. So you can, quote unquote, there could be sort of a reboot of society.
Here's the thing: is people are really, and myself included, but people are really good at not understanding how much they rely on other people to do the things that they want to do. So like if society collapses, or even if society doesn't collapse, but you separate yourself from society or whatever, like you are suddenly losing a lot of potential things that you could, like, for instance, having the internet, being able to communicate with other people, being able to drink a beer, being able to buy ammunition, or whatever those things that you like to do. They require a lot of other people who know specific things, how to do specific things, how to make things in a certain way that you don't have any fucking clue how to do. So it's really easy to sit there and be like, oh yeah, I am independent. I'm a strong male and I can survive on my own. Well, yeah, you probably could, but a lot of you're forgetting about how dependent you are on other people doing things to provide you with a lot of the things that you enjoy and need.
Well, I think he's thinking like if everybody disappeared from the planet like instantly, like they can just go. There'll be enough beer and like
it'll be like The Walking Dead, and you can.
Yeah, you can just like go into
pillage.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like it's not like there was exactly.
But even that, and this again is the short-sightedness of the selfishness of a lot of people, is this view that like, okay, well, my race, we're the important ones, but we all benefit when we lift up each other. We all benefit from that. We've known this for a long time. That's why there's public education, is because we individually are all lifted up by a society that is stronger, that is better educated, that has more resources, that all of the individuals within that society are in better conditions. Each of us is in a better situation because of that. But there's this short-sighted. Thank you. There's this short-sighted. Well, my group is the important one. I'm white and I identify with other white people and they think like I do, and so I want to make sure that we get taken care of. Well, your white people are going to be better taken care of if all the other groups are also better taken care of and have access to all the things that you want to have access to.
See, the thing here is, man, it's this tribalism. You have a symbol and then you just go with it. Basically, this whole thing about this nationalism, right? Let's make America great again. It sort of just harkens back to that sense of, oh, we're oppressed and all this shit. We're the main tribe, right? It just goes and I'm sorry, I'm a little high. Give me a second.
No, yeah, you're right. It is the tribalism, but
Yeah. Okay, I think I found my point.
Go ahead.
It's a sense of tribalism that sort of been manifested through this alt-right thing through Donald Trump. And they're basically like the embodiment of political incorrectness, right? So
Yes.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not really surprised that they see Trump as their go-to guy. I mean, we all noticed that with that Zeke Hal thing. They did in that fucking little conference room. But the reality is this. They're jackasses. Trump is a jackass. Like he's just a more competent jackass. He doesn't really buy into any of this shit. I mean, he just speaks his mind on shit. He's not going to be able to. Here's the thing. I'm a secularist. I'm a strict secularist. I make fun of Islam just as much as I make fun of and criticize Christianity. You can't ban someone based on religion. That's against the First Amendment. All right, that's just common fucking sense right there. And kicking immigrants out, motherfucker, this country was built on immigration. If you kick them out, like a good number of these motherfuckers pay taxes. You're kicking out people and also have kids here.
Yeah, well, if you weren't here for that room, but I told the guys in the last episode, I think that I know a girl whose husband isn't legal, but he partly owns their trucking business, and he pays taxes, and he's a partner in that company, and they make more money off him paying taxes and doing all that stuff than deporting the guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they were seriously going to go through this process of finding however many million immigrants and deporting all of them, I mean, just think how much manpower and time that would be, and how much that would cost. That would be insane. I mean, to go on manhunts for people who are illegal immigrants, because I mean, it's not like all these immigrants would just sit there and wait to be deported.
Here I am.
Yeah.
And speaking on that tribalism thing for a second before I forget, somebody at my work is I swear to you, it's like a little biosphere of like whiteness, like whitey McWhiteness. But somebody brought up the whole we can't have White Lives Matter because that's racist. And I was like, I just sigh, like I may not agree with like every action Black Lives Matter takes, the way they do things.
How about all lives matter? How about that?
Right, but it's like someone brought up a good point. It's like saying if you're trying to save the rainforest, you're not saying the other types of forests in the world aren't important. You know what I mean? It's like you're trying to say don't destroy the rainforest.
Right.
Yeah, or right. You didn't hear all these all lives matter people getting all upset when the football players were wearing pink to
for breast cancer.
For breast cancer. Hey, all cancer matters. All cancer matters. They kept quiet on that one.
It's because I've had this fucking and I gotta say, as the other two white guys in the room, you guys take this stuff very well, but just thought I would throw that out there. But in high school, even there was like Asian Club, Black Student Union where I was from, and you would hear complaints, and it's like, we can't have White Club because White Club is racist. You got White Club would be racist. You know what I mean? Because
I mean, if it was a specific like ethnic, like
right, if it was like Irish Club, that would be different, right? But
yeah.
Somebody posted a meme, I forgot what it was, and it said, Black Pride, Muslim Pride, something. Lists all the prides, and it says equals a celebration of a culture, and that, and then it goes all the way down to White Pride, and it's like white, like White Pride does not right. That's not a celebration of any of those things. You know what I mean?
Term. I mean, like our Italians are white, right?
Yes.
I mean, yes. Like, okay, like fucking Irish is white, German is white, fucking Norse is white.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a very vague term. I mean, it's more or less the same if you call a person black. Well, like what part of the diaspora do they hail from? You know, like what part of the culture are they about?
I mean,
Yeah,
the other thing too. I mean, like, I'm getting a little bit of an echo, but the other thing too is, I mean, because it also has to do with just the fact that white males have been in power forever. So in this country, so it's these other things are reactions to that. And so when you come and say white power, you know, you're that's a reaction to the reactions, really. So it's
I wish I could find that meme. It's
I mean,
pretty funny.
here's the thing. I mean, no one's saying that white people can't be proud of their culture, right? It's one thing to be proud of your culture and to have an act of denigration for other people based on their existence. I mean,
Well, or to also
I
to
mean, the same as vice versa for black people or anyone else.
to suggest that your culture is superior to the other cultures for the fact that it's yours, or you know, for whatever reason, you know, every culture has its accomplishments, every culture has its points of drawbacks and problems that it has had throughout history. You know, European culture is not one thing, and whiteness is not one thing, and a lot of people that are labeled, you know, just on kind of sight as, you know, of African descent have European
or South American
genes or South American genes, yeah, and we're all a mixed bag, you know, just based on history and genetics. We know this to be true.
The other thing too is that, I mean, typically when you have these all lives matters, or, you know, I want to be part of a white group or whatever, it's like those are almost always like reactions that are trying to marginalize the attempts by other groups to prop themselves up, which
Right.
which is not a useful thing. So
Yeah, what would you do in a white club anyway? I mean, would you play a lot of John Cougar Mellencamp? I mean, like, what would you do? Like, I don't.
Kenny G.
Okay, would you play? Okay, gee. Like, what? But I mean, they don't see the difference, right? But again, from my perspective, at where I work, it's a lot of it's a lot of persecution, right? We're white, so we're getting the short end of the stick because of X. Or we're white and we like guns, so they're gonna take our guns away, or they're gonna put restrictions on this. It's always some epic complaining about how their rights are being stripped away.
You know, so I would like for almost just for to show them how not the case that is,
Right.
to you know, put forward or have someone put forward legislation that actually penalized them for being white and said, you know, well, we don't want to restrict gun rights for anyone except for whites, you know, and have people of European descent, they are restricted in X, Y, and Z ways. Then you could say, okay, this is, you know, the case, or Christians are penalized because of X, Y, and Z. Now we can say, okay, yeah, that is an example that's legitimately pinpointing you, people who are at this point in history in the majority in this particular country, and it is negative or would negatively impact you. Until you see those words like that, it's not the case.
Yeah, it's funny because they just see the words, you know, like Black Lives, White Lives, Black Club, White Club, whatever, and they just think they're the same thing, and they don't mean the same thing. And then even if it was granted that they mean the same thing, you know, African Americans have a much different history in America than you know, European
right. I mean,
Americans do.
it's about the context of the history of these groups.
Right. And so it's really frustrating to hear this shit at work sometimes. I mean, you have no idea, dude. I put my earbuds in and I just fucking
Yeah.
I listen to my very white rock music, and then I go to work.
See, this is why I'm kind of worried about the whole, because I understand, like, crime is rampant in the black community, and that's mainly because, well, not mainly, but a good reason for that is the war on drugs, right? That's why I'm glad that there were state legalizations to make marijuana legal recreationally speaking, because that does diminish like people getting arrested over it, right?
Yeah.
Like in California, Nevada, Massachusetts, Maine, and medicinally for Florida and Arkansas. But with this new guy Jeff Sessions in fucking Trump's like advisory for this, like he's talking about good people don't smoke marijuana, and with just to say from Trump, like he could possibly affect that. Now, Trump said that he respects like the state legalization, but
just like he respects women.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody respects women or
honestly,
states' laws like Trump's.
and honestly, that concerns me. Because this could potentially diminish crime in the black community and actually bring a lot of money in.
I'm hopeful that if that one maybe Trump not fulfilling his campaign promises will rub people that voted for him the wrong way, and two, that maybe any of the policies that he does put in place actually, when put into place, people will maybe see how bad they are and that they will negatively impact them. I mean, his tax policy is terrible and is going to negatively impact a lot of the middle class people and a lot of people on the low end, and it will conversely benefit people on the top who don't need help, who are already thriving and paying less taxes than everyone else.
I don't trust that will happen in that people will figure out that that's a problem, because it's so kind of this hidden macroscopic thing going on, but B, they also have their talk radio and Fox News to kind of justify why rich people are rich because they work harder.
Yeah.
And so therefore that's why they're getting all that money. They earn that money, so.
And if you work hard enough, you can get there too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because money grows on trees, and it's just a matter of who goes out and picks more money off the branches. So.
Yeah, it's like that I'm not sure that what her name is, but she's one of those like Paris Hilton types. I think she wore that shirt that said "Stop being poor."
That is also a fake meme.
Is it really?
Yeah.
God damn it! My whole reality is fucking gone.
Yeah, that was fake.
What does the shirt actually say?
I have no idea, but I know that was fake.
God damn it!
Said
right. I'm believing you.
Heathen is a sucker.
I'm believing you because you're white, and white people never lie to me. White people know what's right.
That is also not true.
I was just going to say, that meme is actually true. It checks out.
All right. Well, we're at the 2-hour mark, and that's normally where we pack it up.
This was going to be a short episode, but
yeah, me too.
I'm going to actually go out and do some stuff.
Okay, so you're going to watch porn on your brand new TV.
Maybe I've already done that.
Called it.
There's like, yeah, I'll tell you that story off the air, actually. But
please don't.
For real.
Jesus, you got.
I know way too much about heathens.
Oh, we could do a whole episode on my master.
No, we've done several. We've done several. We got through this one with very little. So
I know there's always at least one sort of comment about my masturbation. So,
yeah. Unfortunately, I kind of brought it up here, but
yeah, this is your fault, buddy.
I'll take the blame.
It doesn't take much.
You think? Yeah, I know. I'm like, what, we're gonna talk about my penis right now? Sweet. Okay, what do you want to know? Anyway, all right, guys. I'm gonna wrap it up. Thanks, Wolf King, for showing up. Thanks, everybody, and I hope you have a great weekend.